and it's got to be seasoned. The best way to explain this is the 1970 Ford pickup truck sitting in your backyard versus the brand new vehicle that is just been waxed and sitting in your garage. And let me explain what I mean by that. Sorry. It's the surface. It's the surface of the pan that you're thinking about. When I put water in this pan, you're going to notice something. That it creates a smooth surface all the way as I wash this water. There's a smooth layer of water all the way across it. And it'll slowly bead down. So I get water is covering this whole surface in here. If I have a brand new pan, matter of fact, grab one of those, grab a new pan for me because this is pretty important. This is a really important point for finishing, for final fine gold panning. You've got to understand how to season a pan. Time will do it alone. This is my pan. This is my favorite pan. I don't know how many years I've had this, but it's full of scratches. It's all worn. But here's a brand new pan, and what you're going to see is you're going to see that the water just wants to bead up. So I don't know if you can see that. The water just wants to bead up. Doesn't want to spread out on the pan. It just wants to all stay together. So, and if you ever see that, it's the same thing. Think about a newly waxed car versus the old truck where the paint's worn off of it. If you spray water on it, it just comes off in a solid sheet. Versus the new car comes off in beads. You understand? That's sort of the premise of seasoning a pan. And that's the first step, is to make sure your pan is seasoned. And you can do that with sand, you can use steel wool, but you want that nice dull surface. So that's step number one. Sorry for my coughing. I'm a quiet talker with a low voice, so I got to clear my throat a lot. Sorry. Jet dry? That's why I brought him. He carries my jet dry bottle. Now what I'm going to do is, there's a difference in gold, and a lot of people don't understand. Mike, can you grab me, or I need a 100 mesh classifier. That I had it down there, but they might have another 50 mesh will be fine too. But I'm going to pass around a 50 mesh or 100 mesh classifier. A lot of people think, well, I've got this gold and it's 200 mesh. Maybe, maybe not. When you see what 50 mesh looks like, you'll understand it. When you see what a 100 mesh classifier looks like, and you hold it up and you say, no, I don't have 100 mesh gold. I'm really talking more maybe about 30 or 50 mesh gold. It's very, very fine. I have, every so often, I have people want to start talking about 400 mesh gold. When people start talking about 400 mesh gold, my eyes sort of roll over the back of my head and I want to go to sleep. I start thinking about turnips. Did I plant the turnips in the right? Look, 400 mesh gold is just a little bit bigger than a white blood cell. We understand that? So everyone understands. A piece of 400 mesh gold is just a little bit larger than a white blood cell. A white blood cell, I think, is 37 microns, 36 microns. A piece of 400 mesh gold is 40 something in there. So this is 100 mesh. I'm going to pass this around, and everyone just sort of look at that and sort of touch it and say, wow, 100 mesh gold is really, really fine. So I want everyone to understand what 100 mesh gold looks like. So I'm going to show you what 100 mesh gold looks like, because a lot of people say, what does 100 mesh gold look like? So we're going to find out. So this is gold from, these are cons from the, actually the Yukon. This is up where they are, a lot of Fraser River stuff, so hopefully there's some 100 mesh gold in here. I don't know. If there isn't, I'm in trouble. I honestly don't know. So I'm just going to run it through a 100 mesh classifier. We'll see if there's any gold in it. I don't even know if anything's going to come out. And yes, I spill gold all over the place. I'm bad for that. If you want a good day prospecting, go to my garage and prospect the floor of my garage, and you'll probably come out with a couple grams of gold, because there's gold all over the place. Yeah, we do actually. In the cleanup room, we have a drying. At our warehouse, we have a drying spot where we dry our concentrates, and we vacuum it and actually pan it out just for fun. Tammy had a funny story. They actually redid the back deck out here, and they cleaned it up and did all the stuff. And She said after they did that and worked it all out, the gold that they found down the crevices and all down below paid for all the lumber. All right, so there's my 100 mesh material. So it's pretty close to powder, 100 mesh. Table salt looks huge compared to 100 mesh, just so you know. So that's what 100 mesh looks like. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to get gold floats because it's hydrophobic. What is hydrophobic? Hydrophobic, again, let's go back to the car wax. It doesn't, if you look at a piece of grass in the morning, there's a round droplet sitting on there because that piece of grass is hydrophobic. Gold water doesn't want to attach to it. So you're going to have surface tension on the top, so we're going to put in something that kills surface tension, which is jet dry. A surfactant. Here's an interesting fact on surfactants too. Did you know that surfactants basically are used in all soaps, even laundry detergents? If you have a piece of clothing that you put into the washing machine without a surfactant, because of the way water adheres to itself, water won't want to pass through the material as easy and clean the material. So that's why you add a surfactant to laundry detergent. Does that make sense? Now it releases upon itself, and now it can pass through the fabric and clean the dirt out. A lot of people don't know that. I didn't know that until I read it. But I thought that was a pretty interesting thing to understand, that there's a reason for this science, and it all kind of works out. But in laundry detergent, they have surfactants. So I'm just going to pan out 100 mesh gold, and yes, I pan it fast. I'm just going to let the water just do the work. I don't even know if there's any in there. Sorry for the breathing into the microphone. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let everyone see the 100 mesh gold. So this is gold that is sub 100 mesh. I put it through a classifier, so that's sub 100 mesh gold. I'll pass that around and everyone can see that. I'll put it into, or if I hand me that pan right there, I'll dirty up 100 and I got to pay for another pan. Tammy's always charging me something. Just joking. Try not to slosh it around too much when you get it. Matter of fact, while I do this, I'll do that. And then you can just sort of hold it up like this and just sort of pass it around, and you can see what 100 mesh gold looks like. So that's 100 mesh gold. We know for sure it's sub 100 mesh. Now you can see how quickly I pan that. And a lot of people are going to say, oh, it takes me forever to pan gold. Well, it really doesn't. So what I'm going to do now, let me just tilt it in here, make it easier. I just went out and I ran my material. Now I've got concentrates and I need to pan my concentrates. I'm going to show you how quickly I pan concentrates. This is, Mike's seen me pan concentrates 100 times. I go back in and I test concentrates, but this is how I pan. I just put it in the pan. As far as I'm concerned right now, my gold is at the bottom of the pan. I'm pretty much done. Let me explain that again. I put it in here, I put water in it, I shook it, my gold is at the bottom. I'm done. So now all I got to do is take off the stuff that's not on the bottom. And all I'm going to do is, once I stop, so here's the trick to panning. The difference between material and pan being two separate things, material and pan being one. Two separate. Understand? Everything's moving in the pan, everything's moving in the pan. Stop. Now everything becomes one. The dirt and the pan now become one. They move as one. My dirt will not move. I do not let my dirt move. And that's the key point. There's a lot of people let their dirt move. My dirt is not going to move. What's moving the dirt? The water's moving the dirt. So now, my rock, the only thing that's moving this is the water. And I can do it. I can do a figure eight. I can get fancy. I can do back and forth, do anything I want, but I don't really care. I'm just letting that water move that dirt. And I've got big rocks coming out. But, well, wait a minute, you got big rock. What about the fine gold? It doesn't matter right now because the fine gold is lower. So I'm going to go ahead, and what I'm going to do is I've got light material, and I'm going to pan it down. Stop. One place to look, one place that I always look, is a lot of people look up here on their pan, but when you're working with fine gold, what you want to do is you actually want to look back up here in your corners, and you'll start to see a speck. And when I see a speck, I stop, I just bring it down, jiggle it, and it'll turn light. All the lights will come to the top. Stop, I'm done. Just go ahead and just take the lights off. Boom. I start to see a couple pieces, bring it back down, just give her a jiggle. It's resettling back down, lower and lower and lower. Now the material's gone from light to dark. So I'm going from light to dark. Sorry. See the light on top? Now I'm going to get rid of the light, and it turns to dark. See the difference? Same thing. I'm going to jiggle it, it's going to turn light, the light's going to show up on the top, I'm going to stop, and as soon as I do this, what happens? It turns dark, and that's where I'm going to stop. I'm going to jiggle, take it off, stop, and that's all I'm going to do. I'm just all the way through on my concentrates, I'm just going to do that, keep doing it down, and I'm going to keep an eye on that, especially on that those back corners over there. This is the point where I'm going to start to see my gold. So as I jiggle it, I'm going to watch the back corners. I also keep an eye up front too, but I really watch those back corners. And we'll start to see gold show up. See it? See that first piece now starting to show up? You can see those first pieces in the back here starting to show up. One little piece back there, the piece of lead shot, and there's some really super fine stuff up in here. Good question. When do I not use the ripples? There just comes a certain point you get a feel for it where they sort of become more trouble than they're worth, and you just sort of flip it around and just bring it over. I like to use it whenever I'm panning real aggressively. I want my ripples there. I want my ripples, some kind of ripples on that pan. Alright, so now I've gotten down and I've gotten to the point and I know that there's sub 100 mesh gold in here. I know that for a fact. So now this bucket is full up to here. It probably weighs 25, 30 pounds, at least. Yeah, it's about 30 pounds. So our normal con bucket that we'll pull out is about up to here, weighs close to 90 pounds. It's a heavy bucket. We break a lot of handles. Yeah. If I put this bucket in the back of my truck, drive down the highway at 40 miles an hour, a deer runs across the road, I slam on my brakes, what's going to happen? Bam! This truck is going to slide from the back of my tailgate all the way to the front of my front of my truck and pound in the back, right? Everyone's had that happen. You've had something in your car that's real heavy, you slam on your brakes, and what do you hear?
Bang.
Ka-thump, bam. That's inertia. It's a stored energy. And inertia either keeps something stationary because it's energy, it's not moving, or it's moving and it has that energy and it doesn't want to stop. Got that? What has more inertia? A piece of lead or a feather?
Piece of lead.
A piece of lead. So if I had a piece of lead in the back of my truck and I had a feather in my truck, and I slammed on my brakes, the lead would come sliding forward, the feather would go like that. Does that make sense? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the inertia of gold. Because its specific gravity of it is about 19, just about the heaviest substance on Earth, as some of you have felt by holding the jar. Was that amazing? Who held the jar? Isn't that amazing? That's a life-changing experience right there. If you've never held 100 ounces of gold, you probably never will again. That's an amazing feeling. I don't own the ground. I just make the equipment. So what I'm going to do now is, this is what I really like people to think about. When I get down to this level, I see so many people just, and when I say people, I'm talking about professional miners. If you watch Gold Rush, I'm like, will they teach that son of a gun how to pan? They don't even know how to pan on there. And it's not a problem with that, it's just they don't do it over and over. And they'll sit there and they'll wash it and they'll spread it out and they'll do this little shake. Look, it's real simple. All I have to do is when I get down to any amount of gold, whether it's fine, whether it's large nuggets, is I just have to use the inertia. I'm putting it down in the corner. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to surround this material with about a ½ inch of water. So everyone can see how much water I've got in this. Feedback. See, the Gold Rush producers would never have feedback on their show. But that's the amount, about the amount of water. And this sounds stupid, but what you're going to learn is if you don't have the right amount of water in there, it's not going to work really well. And so I've learned that over the years that you'll see me, I go, oh, a little too much, bring it up. It's about a ½ inch around that. And that's where it really works well. So I've got my pan here about a 45 degree, not 45, but just at a slight angle. So I'm using this corner down here. So I've got this corner, and I'm not going to move my hand. I'm going to keep it stationary. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the truck drive along and crash. I'm going to have the truck drive along, crash. And I'm going to keep doing that. So this is all I'm going to do. So this hand is stationary. The pan is moving. So if I just keep doing that, where's all the gold going to be? It's going to be on your right corner. I'm not real bright. I can move really heavy stuff, so my wife keeps me around. So, if my theory is right here, if the science and physics, if all the natures, if we're on the right planet, what you're going to start to see, which you can see, is a little bit of gold down here in that corner. But what I can do now to sort of prove this is same thing by tapping, and that's why tapping works, because gold has inertia. You're using the inertia when you're tapping. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt my pan up just a little bit, keep it underwater. You can only tap underwater. Make sure you understand that. Tapping only works underwater. So I'm just going to tap. I'm going to bring it all up in the corner. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, just so I can show you, is I'm going to spread it a little bit. And what you're going to see is you're going to see that almost all the gold is up in that right-hand corner.
Well, he moved. I moved out of the way.
But you can see almost even the super fine gold is all right there in that upper right-hand corner. Because I use that stop and tap, stop and tap. Now, I can clean concentrates really fast if I just had to pan it. If I just had to pan it, it wouldn't be a problem. But there's some super fine gold there. Now that I know I've got it in that corner up there, here's what I like to do. What I like to do is, I know that most of my gold is already up here, so don't waste it. So if I'm going to do this, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come up flat with my pan, and now I'm just going to spread it. And when I spread it, I know my gold is up here. So now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to let my water come up, and I'm just going to tap. And when I tap, all that gold is going to come up. All this gold is going to come right up against here in this line. It's going to walk up. I know you can't see this real well here, but I've got a video online, and I'll try and remember the link to it. But it really shows that well, and it's cleaning fine gold, panning the last thing. But I take the time to make sure that I get that stepping process. The gold will be in the pan, it'll go bump, 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 right up. Bump, 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 right up. Same thing. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spread it out a little bit more, and I'm just going to keep walking that gold up. Just a few little taps, and now you can see that I've got gold, almost solid gold up here. Now I can go with my sucker bottle and drag that line out. So now you can see it's almost all that gold is back up on that corner right there. Now, I don't use safety pants. Safety pants are for pussies. Sorry, kids. The funny thing about this method is that the larger gold actually will be harder to get up to the corner because it has a larger surface area than the fine gold. The fine gold is actually easier to do this method. It's easy to get the 100 mesh and 50 mesh gold just by tapping it out, tapping it out, tapping it out. The bigger gold because it has that surface area, it's going to want to actually be washed down by the water along with the other lights. The fine stuff's real easy. Now, the good thing about this is I put in how much material? Probably half a cup of material, and I've got probably, if I had to say, probably about 30, 40, 50 pieces of gold in here. So there's a lot of gold in that bucket. There's a lot of gold in that bucket. So let's go ahead and let's take another piece. Let's do it again. And what's interesting about this is you'll be able to see, I'm going to do this again, so this is really if I'm panning, whether you're panning just out in the creek or you're panning concentrates, it really is, it's almost about the same thing. Mike, will you go get me the hog pan that's down there? So again, stratify, stratify, stratify. Stratify basically means that things are coming up by level. So all I'm going to do is I want to get extremely violent. This is where it's a very violent process. You're going to get wet. You're going to get it flat, and then come down to that corner and stop. And what you're going to see is every time you pan, a lot of the larger rocks are going to be on the top. If you have large rocks on here, you can actually just take it and help them off and just sort of scrape them off. So you can just go in here by your hand and just sort of scrape the ones on the top off. So I'm going to get it down, get it flat, and let it go into that corner and stop. And all I'm going to do is just let, again, if you understand the dirt and the pan becoming one, then you'll understand water moves the dirt. Give it a little shake, water moves the dirt. The dirt doesn't move. Give it a little shake, everything will stratify, lights will come on top. The pan and dirt have to become one. They cannot move. So all I'm going to do now is just the water is going to move the dirt. And when I do that, you see how it darkens up? See how everything's moving except that black sand? That's what I want to make sure of. So I shake it, shake it, shake it, and it's going to turn what color? Light. Light on top. Then it's going to get dark. See it get dark? Same thing. Let me show you here. Watch it turn light. See how it turns light? Now I'm going to make it turn dark. And that's about when I know to stop, right about there. Same thing. It's going to turn light. You can see all the lights on there. I'm just going to let the water move it across, and it's going to turn dark. Same thing again, down here. It'll turn light. And I'm going to let the water move it off, and it's going to turn dark. You see how dark it is. Now I can stop here if I want and do that same thing. When I come down to here, if I'm doing concentrates, I'm always going to put jet dry in. Hi, my name is Doc, and I am a jet dry all the time.
Is that pure jet dry?
Pure.
Buy it by the case?
No, actually, you know where you get it at Sam's Club. They sell a giant. They sell one of the giant bottles for like $6, and then you put it in there.
Not better than just a tray?
Yes, jet dry is the very best. It also has lower sudsing too, so it's. But I've tested just about everything else. I've actually, believe it or not, last month, you know what I tested? Yukon extract. That's the kind of idiot I am. This is the kind of stuff that goes through my crazy mind. I read somewhere that there's a natural surfactant, and Yukon extract, is it Yucca extract is a natural surfactant. I'm ordering some, so I went on eBay and ordered me some Yucca extract. Extracted yucca, or whatever it is, yucca juice, or whatever it is. Yucca. Don't buy it. No. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I'll go over that in 1 second. The size of the pan is important. So here we go again. So now I'm down to here. So I have my super concentrates down in this corner. How much water around the edge of each concentrate? Half an inch of water down there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to stop the truck. Okay? Deer crossing, deer crossing, deer crossing, deer crossing, deer crossing. And that's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to tap, 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 tap. And that material, what's important to understand is this material, now it's separate. Okay, the material's doing this. You've got to get that material moving and stopping. Moving and stopping. That's the only way I know how to explain it to you, is look like an idiot. Moving, stopping. Moving, stopping. But that's what I want that material to do. So I'm just going to let it stop, tap, 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 tap. It is sloshing, sloshing. And then I'm going to bring my pan up sort of flat and away. And now I can tap it. And I better get some, since I pan it. You can see now, and there's a fair amount of gold in there for 1 scoop of concentrates. I mean, I'm guessing there's probably, in that 1 bucket, there's probably close to 5 grams of gold sitting in that 1 bucket. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this, where's that other green pan? Here it is. I'm going to put this into here and you all can sort of look at it. Okay, I'm going to make sure I go over the size of the pan and when do I shift it. Actually, let me pan that a little bit more. Now, the gold will float amazingly, especially when you get into this really flat stuff and super fine stuff. It'll just ride right up on top and float out. So you got to have jet drying when you're finished panning. But this will be a good example of just what is fine gold, what does it look like. This is great stuff right here. We'll pass that around if you would. Try and keep it like this. Try not to knock it around too much. And so you can go in here and see what it actually looks like. Now that fine gold right there was caught with 4-pound expanded metal and the new Yukon mat. So 4-pound expanded metal. Most people here are used to small little half-inch raised expanded metal. 4-pound expanded metal. The diamond is that wide. And it's about that tall. It's massive stuff. That's what they use in the gold rush shows when you see them pulling them out. It's heavy stuff. I mean, it's about a 40-pound tray. Just a small tray weighs about 4 pounds. So it's heavy stuff. What size tray do I use? The size that you see there is good for panning. So if you're going to pan, if you're out of the creek, that's a good creek panning pan. If I'm going to finish pan, I want more of a surface area, so I want a wider bottom in here. If you're working with fine gold, this bigger surface for me just works better. I like the bigger surface. So, let me see this pan for 1 second. So you can see that this is probably about 5.5 inches here, let's say. And then look at the difference on this one. So see the difference in the size of the bottoms? This is what I consider my finishing pan. This is sort of more of a quicker speed pan, where this will sort of has a bigger, a smaller trap down here. It's really good for aggressive panning. When I really want a fine gold pan, I'll use the wider bottom. It just lets me have a bigger surface to sort of wash and tap, wash and tap, wash and tap. When do I use my riffles? You'll see me all the time is I'll be panning, and I'll be panning, I'll be panning, and then boom, I'll swing it around, and then I'll bring it down to non-riffles. But it's just sort of a feel thing. There comes a point where I'm not using this and being real aggressive, and when I stop being so aggressive and I get it down to maybe a handful, that's when I'm going to go in and start using here. I just like this for insurance, you know, because I'm an idiot panning. I'll just go and go and go and go. I lose very little gold when I pan, especially when I find pan concentrates. You can go through my con and find a speck here or there, but it's just to the point that it's not really not necessary. So what I want to do now, what did I do with, I think I put it in here. Mike, do you have a snuffer bottle here? So I just ran. One thing you'll notice if you're running our mats, you have very little concentrates. Very little concentrates, and that's one of the beautiful things about it. No, it's fine. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to shake this down. Pan it, pan it, pan it, pan it, pan it, pan it, pan it. Shake it down. Pan it, pan it, pan it, pan it. Shake it down. I'm using my riffles. I'm being an idiot, being aggressive. Bringing it down. Bring it down. Use my riffles. And I do this little jiggly thing here. That's the best way I know how to start. Just that little jiggly thing. Just in that little jiggly thing, especially when the fine gold, just bringing it down to that dark spot down there. But when you do the jiggly motion really helps when you get down to this last step here. This jiggly motion really helps that fine stuff. So that's why what I'm going to do is I'm going to be real aggressive, and then I'm going to jiggle, 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 and it's just sort of letting everything sort of final stratify down. So I'm just going to be real aggressive with it. I know I'm going to probably lose a couple pieces of gold. You guys can dig it out later. Yeah, Tammy will be back here prospecting later. Darn it, I know Doc lost some gold back in here. I watched him pan that stuff. Same thing. I'm just going to go, 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 go. I'm just watching it. I see gold. I'm going to stop. I'm going to jiggle, 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 jiggle. Jiggle, 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 jiggle. It's like you're talking to your dog, you know. Everyone has that stupid voice that you talk to your dog in. By the way, I have a blind dog at home. I have a Jack Russell that I call my $7,000 Jack Russell because he had cataract surgery and then he had glaucoma kick in, so we had to have prosthetic eyeballs put in him. It's my $7,000 Jack Russell. Good Lord, I thought college was expensive. He's a good old buddy. So now, as I start to tap this, what are you seeing? Can you see it? It's all going to be right in here. That's too much water. Too much water. It does make such a difference just to have the right amount of water in there, and it's going to change. Let's see how that gold was up there in that, on that right side for you guys. So now what I'm going to do, this is kind of a critical point too. So I've got my gold mixed in with the black sand here.